Welcome to the Daily Gospel of John. Glad you're watching. Awesome passage today, looking at verses 27 through 29. Jesus is speaking. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. You heard me say I am going away, and I am coming back to you. If you loved me, you would be glad that I am going to the Father, for the Father is greater than I. I have told you now before it happens, so that when it does happen, you will believe. Jesus is all about caring for these followers of his. He's saying, do not let your hearts be troubled. Do not be afraid. He says, I'm telling you these things ahead of time so that you don't worry and get upset, and so that your faith will be confirmed as things do fall out the way that I said they would. He started chapter 14 in the same way. He said to his disciples, do not let your hearts be troubled. Do not be afraid. He knows the frailty of our human condition and how quickly we start to worry. And they would have humanly had good reason to worry with all that was going to unravel in the next few days, and him being nailed on a cross and them becoming fugitives in a sense. But I love Jesus because here he is, knowing the horrors he's about to endure, the spitting in the face, the beating at the hands of the Romans, his face being beaten beyond human recognition, as the prophet said in Isaiah 52, marred beyond human likeness, all his bones out of joint, nails through his hands and feet, and being mocked up there on the cross. He knew everything that was coming to him in the next few days. And who is he worried about? His followers. He's concerned that they might worry, that they might be afraid. And so he's calming their fears. He's not worried about himself. And I love this about our King Jesus. So we see that. And one verse that I want to address, though, right in the middle of what we read, was he said, I'm going to the Father, and you should be glad that I'm going to the Father. In Romans 8, it tells us that he is our advocate, that he intercedes on our behalf at the right hand of the Father, that he's always speaking for our benefit to the Father and praying for us. So it's a good place for us that he's there in that place of power. But also he said, my Father is greater than I. And certainly this isn't the deity of Jesus that he's referring to, because earlier we read in John 1, he said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. And we see in Hebrews chapter 1 that it says that he's the radiance of God's glory, the exact representation of his being, sustaining all things by his powerful word. Jesus always was God. But we read in Philippians 2 that he laid aside that position. It says he did not consider equality with God something to cling on to, but he set that aside and stepped down, humbling himself, taking on the very form of a man. And he humbled himself even to the point of obedience on the cross. So Jesus, in this state of being humbled as the God-man now, the Messiah, he says, yes, my Father is greater than me. He's in that position. He hasn't stepped down into this form that I'm in as human and God. He is fully God the Father, and I am subordinate to him, and I'm okay with that, and I'm going to obey him every last step. And by the way, remember, it wasn't that Jesus wound up on that cross because he just couldn't get himself out of a tight spot or it caught him by surprise. It's prophesied through the whole Old Testament. And so he knew it was coming, and he said, no one takes my life from me. I lay it down of my own accord. And in Isaiah 53, it says very clearly, it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer. And though the Lord makes his life a guilt offering, he will, I forgot the rest of the verse, but it's God. It was God's will that Jesus die on the cross. So yes, it was the Jewish leaders out of jealousy and hatred and their twisted understanding of faith that they were behind it. And yes, the Romans actually nailed him on the cross, but it was God's idea, and it wouldn't have happened had not God allowed it to happen. And he did it out of love for you and love for me. And to miss out on the love of the Creator of the universe to miss that would be to miss everything and all eternity. So, yes, we have an awesome Savior. God bless.